London, 1888. Picture this bustling city, all smoky and industrial, with the clang of iron and the hissing steam echoing through the streets. The River Thames was practically groaning under the weight of ships, while the alleys were choked with soot and horse dung. Can you imagine the air? It was this weird mix of coal, gin, and just plain old poverty. Now, in the East End, especially in the twisted lanes of Whitechapel, whispers travel faster than the fog rolling in. This was a gritty place, filled with cheap lodgings and dark gin palaces where women sold themselves for mere pennies just to scrape by. But that year, something sinister lurked in those shadows, something that even the toughest of drunks wouldn't dare to talk about. The streets felt different, heavy with an unshakable tension, as if the very walls were holding their breath. What was it? The fear was palpable, right? The killings began in late August, when Marion Nichols was found in Buck's Row. At first glance, the constables thought she was merely another drunk who had passed out in the gutter. But when the lantern's light fell on her, the truth made even veteran officers turn pale. Her throat had been cut so deep that her head was nearly severed, and her body bore wounds no ordinary thief would bother to inflict. This was not robbery, it was something else. Within weeks, there was another, Annie Chapman, left in the yard of Hanbury Street, her body arranged as if someone had performed an unholy ritual. A crowd gathered at dawn, gasping, weeping, muttering prayers. The details were whispered in pubs, organs missing, flesh carved with precision. Some said it was the work of a butcher, others insisted only a surgeon could wield a blade so cleanly. The press smelled blood in more ways than one. They gave him a name that would outlive the century, *Jack the Ripper. Headlines screamed of a phantom who hunted in the fog, striking only at night, leaving women butchered and the city paralyzed with fear. The police flooded Whitechapel with patrols, but he slipped through as if the shadows themselves conspired with him. By September, the murders escalated. Elizabeth Stride was discovered with her throat cut in Berner Street, her body still warm when found. Some thought Jack had been interrupted, for her mutilations were less severe. But within an hour, another body appeared, Catherine Eddowes, mutilated beyond comprehension in Mitre Square. The speed, the audacity, the sheer ferocity stunned even Scotland Yard. On a wall nearby, a message scrawled in chalk read, *, the Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing. *, the police erased it quickly, fearing riots. But Londoners whispered about it long after. The killings gripped the world. Letters poured into police stations and newspapers, many claiming to be from the killer himself. One, signed *Jack the Ripper, spoke of the next job and how he quit ripping them. Some were obvious hoaxes, but others written in red ink, taunting, mocking felt to sharp, to knowing. One came with half a human kidney, preserved in alcohol. The writer claimed he had eaten the other half. Doctors examined it and declared it human. Scotland Yard pursued dozens of suspects. They questioned butchers, surgeons, lunatics, foreigners, anyone who limped, anyone who lingered in shadows. A Polish immigrant named Kosminski, a quack doctor named Tumblety, even a prince whispered about in hushed tones. Each lead dissolved like fog, witnesses contradicted one another, evidence vanished, and still the bodies piled up. The last confirmed victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was found in her small room on Dorset Street that November. When her landlady sent rent collectors, they forced open the door. Inside was a scene so horrific that even seasoned constables staggered back. Mary lay on her bed, mutilated past recognition, her small room painted in blood. The killer had taken his time here, shielded by four walls, turning his violence into something almost ritualistic. The inspector who first entered later confessed he could not sleep without seeing it again in his dreams. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the killings stopped. No one knew why. Some said Jack fled London, others that he had been arrested for another crime or locked away in an asylum. Some even whispered he had died or that he had grown bored. His appetite for blood finally sated, but the fear never faded. The image of a figure in the fog, knife glinting beneath a street lamp, lingered in the minds of all who lived in that autumn of terror. Decades later, files still sat in Scotland Yard, names underlined, suspects never cleared. Armchair detectives argued over clues, authors chased shadows, and each generation revived the legend. Was Jack a surgeon, skilled with a scalpel? Was he a sailor, slipping away with the tides? Was he a mad aristocrat, untouchable by law? No one could ever say. The only certainty was that in those nights of 1888, London's darkest streets belonged to him. Today, Whitechapel is changed, but not entirely. Modern buildings rise, markets bustle, but the old alleys still wind in crooked paths. Guides lead curious tourists through the murder sites, their lanterns flickering as they recount the horror. And sometimes, in the mist that clings to the East End, visitors swear they feel it, that same chill, that same sense of being watched. Some claim to hear the echo of footsteps behind them, steady and deliberate, though the street is empty when they turn. Others say they glimpse a man slipping into the fog, hat brimlow, knife flashing briefly before vanishing into nothing. Jack the Ripper was never caught, right? It's wild to think he left behind no trial, no confession, and no real evidence, just the shattered lives of the women he destroyed. Yet, here we are, over a century later, and his name still sends chills down our spines. It's like he's become a ghost, haunting every dark corner of London, especially where the fog wraps around those old gas lamps. The East End has seen its fair share of poverty, sickness, and crime, but it was that eerie autumn of 1888 when the city felt genuinely haunted. This wasn't just about a man, it was about a sinister hunger that no one could quite put their finger on. The silence surrounding him is deafening, leaving us with more questions than answers. Each retelling of his story feels like a chilling reminder of the fear he instilled, making you wonder, what really drove him?